Yeah, I appreciate you guys hopping on. Very, unstructured today. Just wanted to chop up all things CloneX, CloneX LA. I know Jay put us together. I didn't meet Jay. I met you, Vega, in LA in March. Wow, it felt like a year ago, but that was only March.
Man,
And so much has happened.
Right. Can you guys believe it's been a year? Like I finally took a second to like come up from the water and just like look back at the year of being in this CloneX project, and so much has happened. It's crazy.
No, it hasn't been a year since midday.
Not officially, but
yeah,
right. Yeah, I remember I think you guys remember, especially Cam, if you said it's been over a year, you remember when it was Akira. Those are the days. Yeah.
Man, as soon as I saw those teasers, I just like I wasn't into any like PFP projects. I didn't really understand the hype at the time about NFTs in general. I was like in NBA Top Shot, but not in any Ethereum NFTs. But when I saw the teasers come out for this project and like the 3D characters, everything just like clicked for me in terms of what could be possible. So even though the mint price was crazy, I like was all in on it and totally jumped in.
Yo, same here. I saw the previous success and just the forging in real life was something that's never done at that time. And I was all in when I heard that, because that's something that I'm a huge fan of, just in real life utility, and they knocked it out of the park. I'm still waiting for my near feud detection hoodie. I don't think it hasn't shipped yet, right? No one's got it yet.
I think they said like end of September. I think we get them, right?
I don't know. You know what? I'm usually the one giving alpha and CloneX, but things have changed. So you guys got to give me the alpha now. And I don't. So is it going to be integrated with Snapchat Lens or with Jay? Is Jay working on that? Is that something? Because we know he's over at Snap.
Right.
I think it'll definitely be on Snapchat, just because that's where they put their other digital fashion pieces. And Snap has a very like powerful AR software and AR toolkit. Like their tracking is really great. I think the problem is that a lot of people don't use Snap regularly, but they've really put a lot of resources into like developing their AR platform. So I think it'll be Snap for the near future. Maybe they'll explore their own app in the far future, but for now it seems like Snap.
Cool. Yeah, and then after that, Instagram is going to steal it, and we'll have it everywhere. Cool. So before we jump into CloneX LA, why don't you guys tell, if you want to, because everyone's on docs nowadays. Back then, no one was on docs. Everyone was behind the PFP. Those were I wouldn't say the good old days, but I was the only one usually on camera. So this is actually refreshing seeing faces.
Yeah, I got nothing to hide. It's all good.
Docs, the whole time.
Cool. So yeah, I'm not part of CloneX LA. I'm in the Bay. I'm too far away. But I do travel down there sometimes, so I'm going to try to get to your next in real life event. But let's talk everything CloneX. But first, let's talk about CloneX LA. If you guys like, how it came about. I know I'm in an original picture. I'll put up a screenshot of it, but I'm not officially on the team. So I'm super excited to hear about what you guys have done, together in real life or on Web3 on the metaverse.
Yeah. So we had a couple of just small meetups, like the one you had attended, that and brunch, NFT LA event. But it was kind of just like us hanging out together. You know what I mean? It wasn't, formulated as really a company or a DAO really, until we had a meetup at a ramen spot on Sawtell, and talking to the Lens, Frank. I was talking to Rick as well, at a bar that was Game of Thrones themed. And I was like, hey man, like we got all of us, everybody has really cool skills. Like Kenny was right there too. He was talking about, all the things that he does in real estate. And I was like, well, we probably have enough money, between the guys here to like put something up, get some like maybe commercial real estate, develop a creative studio or something of the sorts. And, that was a conversation that really resonated with a lot of people. And so we formed a group to try to, build things with our mutual interests that align, try to develop some kind of, wealth outside of the NFT space, physical world, real estate stuff, like I had mentioned. And, those thoughts are kind of what put the group together.
Yeah, that ramen restaurant meetup was the first actual like in-person clone meetup I went to. And I stumbled over to the bar with them and like came over to Vega and Lynn's and that group, and they're going crazy talking these huge ideas about buying a house together, building a studio, getting a basketball court, all these crazy ideas. Obviously, everyone was just excited about like the different backgrounds and what everyone brought to the table. So we were just jumping like 3,000 miles into the future. But like Vega was saying, naturally, there's so much diverse talent, and CloneX LA is just like the natural next step for the greater community, is just meeting up and linking up in person with everyone else, because there are just a lot of cool people to hang out with, but also, again, lots of talented people who, when you bring together, it just unlocks like new ideas, new possibilities. And that's sort of where we're at right now. We did a small event, which was possible because of everyone in the group. And now we're just exploring what can we build from that. I bring some tech stuff. We got people bringing like physical merch side of the industry. And we're just trying to come together and put all our crazy ideas and build products that service the CloneX community and add value into our own community. So I think you see it happening all over the world now, and it's just like the natural next step for the greater CloneX community.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting. If I didn't just get married last week, I would totally move into that CloneX house. I'm telling you 100%. Because I do YouTube, and you content houses are all the hype. I know 2Hype, has the basketball court probably in LA. If you guys know about that YouTube channel, and there's so many just collaborations you can do, right? Snoop's down there. Have you guys been in touch with Snoop with his CloneX on death row?
Nah, not yet. Anyway.
Not yet, but we'll get him down. Vegas gonna get him on a feature.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you know there was the Bored Ape restaurant down there? Have you guys hooked up with the Food Fighters team? They're doing the actual live food-driven NFT events. I know they're local down there.
Yeah, I think they're in Long Beach. We haven't really spoken to them yet. We have Kenny on the team, and he handles food vending for like events, major events too. He was in charge of the Azuki parties vending for food. So, we'd probably go through him if anything, but it would be a good idea. One of the next things that we want to do is a cross community event, and, whether that's Azuki or Bored Apes or whoever else, that could be a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So in terms of collaborations, that's one of the first maybe thoughts for the next events, just have a cross. Have you guys done I see an events page up on the site, but nothing up yet. I know Jake leaked some alpha, said there's one coming up. Is there something that is that the one you're talking about, Big, or is there something else?
I mean, there are a few that we're kicking around right now. So that's an idea of ones. We want to do sort of like a cross community thing to bring people together, because as it sits right now, we have these NFT communities, and they're essentially like country clubs. Nobody, if you go to a country club, you're not going to another country club. You're just hanging out with your own people, and then it becomes like for lack of better words, just a circle jerk or echo chamber of people hyping each other up without any outside input on how things could grow outside of what you're doing. So we definitely want to get involved in other communities, and we're kicking around that idea, of cross community events in arcades, arcade bars, or Street Fighter tournaments, or we have some other things, that I don't know if I can bring it up yet, that are like way bigger. But as far as just like small, realistic events, cross community thing is definitely what we're thinking about right now. Cool.
One thing that I talked to Jay about was how Bored Ape kind of led the way, not in terms of they did it, right? They had a coalition of sorts to get branding deals and marketing for individual Bored Ape holders. And I was like, Jay, is that what we're doing here in CloneX LA? Because I'm going to move down to LA if that's the case.
I mean, I think it's such a golden opportunity, because CloneX, the community, has the luxury of having these 3D files now, and you just see all the creativity flowing online and how much possibility there is to just create anything. And once you link up with brands, you can be their influencer. I was looking today, this virtual influencer, Little Michaela, who is really popular, just like signed a brand deal to lead PacSun's collection or something like that. So there are so many, again, this is one of the things that brought me to the project initially, and what was like the most exciting part was that once you get these 3D files, you can do anything with your digital identity. You could take into VR, content create, link up with brands, and you're just starting to see that. And I think that's, again, that's the next step with this 3D files is people will connect with brands. We want to work with brands and create content, leverage the tools we have to do sponsorships, to create products with brands, with each other. And that's because we have these 3D files. So it's exciting, and it's stuff that we're exploring as a group, and you see everyone doing it online individually, but that's definitely the next step for us right now.
The 3D file is definitely absolutely amazing. I was a little bit overwhelmed because I'm not a 3D specialist. How would you advise? You know, is it to team up with someone like CloneX LA? Are you guys looking for avatars that you like? Like, hey, you guys, we should come in because you got a really cool trait. Yeah, it's just what's your thoughts on that? Because you seem to be the expert there.
No, it's completely tricky because even I have a technical background, but I work in a specific software called Unity, and everyone is doing these renders, these awesome, like cool renders in Blender, which I'm not really familiar with, even though I have a tech background. So I'm like just as clueless and just as intimidated hopping into that software as you probably are. So there is a barrier to entry. But I think you see like Vega can speak on it. The tools coming out of the community to be able to like unlock creativity with your clone are extremely powerful. I don't know if you had a chance to like mess with no, not Evita yet, Clone.Tools, which Vega was working on, which is something that lets you like import your clone, do renders, do poses, and just create like photo, video content in Blender really easily. That's like a huge tool for the community to be able to do creative things, explore creative opportunities with their clones. So I think like individually right now, using those tools out there that are being created by the community is probably the best thing you can do. But if you want to go to brands and build more, it's just about connecting with the right people in the community. I think like with CloneX LA, we're collaborating because there are different backgrounds. So as a group, we're just able to do more. So I think the best thing you can do is just find someone with like-minded interests in whatever you're trying to accomplish, and the people are out there in the community, and it's just about finding them.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I haven't checked it out. Apologies, Vega. to your point, yeah.
Liz, that's just a project that I'm on. You know, it's really Beb Regis, Blender DAC, the real GOAT. That's really, you know, their baby. I jumped on for the virtual reality portion, but it's a one-click tool that allows you to assemble your clone and have it ready for renders like immediately. So that I think is important for onboarding and giving good power, you know, to everybody equally. But I think, you know, to answer your question too, that we're early enough so where there aren't a ton of people doing, you know, the stuff in Blender or the stuff in Unity, and you just kind of have to like find it in yourself to not be intimidated by all the buttons and the way that it looks, and just jump on in. You know, I had no Blender experience prior to like March, so it's been a couple months, and you know, I already know what I'm doing enough to rig my own avatars for virtual reality. You know what I mean? So
this man with no Blender experience just completely rigged his avatar and VRM and found a way. So you can speak on it better than anyone.
And it's not like I'm, you know, somebody with that type of background, and I'm not, you know, like an engineer or anything. I'm a rapper. So if I can do it and jump on in, like, I think the power comes from being able to just go for it and kind of use like critical thinking to be able to do that stuff yourself. There is people in the community that can help you out, but you're going to benefit the most from learning it.
But the update that Vega is talking about, like the VR portion of this Clone.Tools project is going to be huge for everyone, because it gives everyone the opportunity to easily like take their avatar and with one click spit out a VR compatible avatar that lets you just, as soon as you can take your avatar into VR in like a VRM file, the creative opportunities are endless, because you can content create, you can play games. Like you see everything Vega is doing in Neos VR. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I use Neos.
Yeah, and that's because he put the work in to create this VRM file, and now he's just democratizing that. So what everyone in the community is doing to like empower everyone else is probably like the most valuable part of CloneX, I think, because there's just so much talent willing to help everyone else. So it's a really exciting update to look forward to, and whenever it goes out, you should jump in there, because Vega is doing some wild things in VR, man. I don't know what is going on there, but
So it's got creative tool, and it's going to come out, or is it out already?
Oh, it's out. Clone.Tools. The website is Clone.Tools.
Clones.tool.
Clone.Tools. Yeah,
Clone.tool.
it's a free plugin for Blender.
Nice.
I think there are some like YouTube resources that put out to like just walk you through everything you need to do. So it is amazing how easy they made it for anyone. So
100%.
so worth checking out.
Get your renders, man.
I have them. I have all my files. I've been busy getting married. No excuse, but I'm gonna do a whole clone YouTube, me and in the avatar one day. Has anyone done that yet? I'm pretty sure someone has.
Would you ever want to like stream as your avatar?
I don't know how. I only streamed once in my life, and I completely messed it up.
Or even do like these interviews as your clone, or do you not care for that?
Yeah, no, I do care, because that's important for the Web3 space, and I think that it'll be cool, first of all, right, just to see that technology play out.
Yeah, I could using OBS virtual cam, like I could be in this while using VR and being, my full body clone, speaking to you directly. I do that for some of my artist interviews for Junior. Like today, I had one this morning with Chill Pill, who is one of the only digital identities signed to a major label. He signed to Atlantic, and I had a meeting with his team today that I did in virtual reality as my clone. So
Chill Pill, yeah. No, I heard of FN Mecca. That guy's pretty famous on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think those are the sort of things that people will be able to do. There's a little bit of a tech barrier, but the tech out there is getting so advanced that it's becoming easy to use for everyone. So like there's opportunities to do things like FN Mecca are more accessible now, and you'll start to see that just become more easily done by everyone. You don't need the whole tech team and the designers and Unity developers. So again, those are the sorts of things. Those are next steps for digital identity, which are going to be really, really exciting for everyone in the community.
On a simpler basis, I've heard the term CCO being thrown around a lot recently. Is that something you guys are familiar with, or is it CC0?
I'm not too familiar with that. I have seen it being thrown around a lot, and people talk about it's like giving the ownership of the projects to the community itself. But beyond that, I'm not really sure how that works.
Right. Yeah, something along those lines where we have the IP rights, but people can make derivatives of it and build upon it and compound that growth. And Moonbirth did it, and a lot of the community members were not happy. So I was just curious if that's kind of echoed over to CloneX at all.
I think people would be upset in the CloneX community if that same thing happened, because a lot of people bought certain specific clones to build a digital identity around. Like they went after certain clean looking clones or whatever it may be, and paid a price to do that. So I think people in the community really care about building brands and building products and building whatever it may be around your specific digital identity. So I think there would be an uproar, honestly, if something like that happened, which I don't think it will happen.
Yeah, no, I just saw the words traveling a lot around in Web3, and I wasn't sure where CloneX stood. So just
Yeah.
yeah, to your point, it probably makes sense for them not to do that.
Yeah, I paid way too much to go after a clone that was like, I can relate to that one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of updates on clones. So yeah, you guys got to fill me. I usually fill people in, but I've been, yeah, to your point, Vega, you know, a lot of people are in their close circles. I made the mistake, not a mistake, I would say. I tried to be in every circle. Not a good financial move by any means. I mean, I'm not in a lot of them, but CloneX definitely to me is one of the best ones because it's just, this is the most creative group out there. Let's just, you know, put it out there. And one of my biggest holdings. So what huge updates are you guys most excited about in CloneX coming up?
I think the wearables like marketplace is going to be the next big update that will just unlock like a lot of, again, more creative opportunity for people to like customize their avatars, then export them into VR and go use them in VR or go use them in AR. So it's going to be great for the community, and also like, again, the creators. Like the creators will be able to create custom textures for a shirt or their own wearables that they can sell on this marketplace, and have a place to share their creations and build their brands around their clones. So I think like that next wearables, and you see Kreia doing it right now, like an amazing job of creating his own fashion line. And I think just to see what people do with these new clothing items is going to be a really cool next step for the CloneX community. That's what I'm excited for.
I didn't know that was coming out. So there was going to be a marketplace specifically, or is it just going to be OpenSea?
They're talking about, he is talking about making their, you know, digital marketplace for wearables within Artifact. Yeah. You know, I'll let you continue that. I don't really know what I'm excited for next, because my plan kind of went into like, you know, the branding around my own clone, and that's really the only thing that I was looking forward to.
For sure. So yeah, you talk about that. If you want to give us any alpha about that, like branding for your clone, hurdles or opportunities, things that you've seen happen.
Yeah, man, just, I mean, building it up as its own identity, you know, in the metaverse, in the real world, just so that other people can do the same. I mean, really, it's centered around giving creatives power back that isn't limited or defined by the way they look or their age or whatever limitations they're faced with when you know, major companies or labels or whatever else look for branding and marketing in a person, because they don't build up talent, they build up a brand. So I'm just trying to make digital identities like a real tangible thing for people to utilize if they are creative. And that's what, you know, what I would like for Artifact to do now is invest in community projects like we've seen. I mean, we have Kreia, we have things like I'm doing, we have things like, you know, Clone.Tools that Ev has cultivated. And I think that would be the best thing for them to do, is to add value in the community by investing in their community itself. Otherwise, we're just going to get a flood of basic clothing that will devalue the clothing that came out before it and before it and before it. And it's just like reselling shoes in the real world. You know what I mean? There are going to be shoes that are valuable, but for the most part, the drops will be hyped for the first couple of days, and then they'll fall in value over time as it goes on. And that's what I think that we'll see in the crypto space as well, and to an even smaller market for the time being. I would like to see them invest in community-driven projects, because that's where the value would lie.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think for the community to organically grow, they should be able to create something that is a part of the ecosystem and thrives and grows in that ecosystem. Like you see what Yobs is doing and his whole team with Clone Force, and they're building a product, a brand, probably some wearables, who knows, but that should be, whatever they build should naturally be supported as part of this greater CloneX ecosystem. And I would also love to see like lore, like some of the story, because there's so much to CloneX. Like I would love to see some of the story also be community driven, where like CloneWare or Clone Force can exist in the universe of CloneX, and you let other people build their brands in universe, and also have the support, have the resources to be able to sell or profit or build their brand within CloneX for CloneX. And again, I think that's what like a creator marketplace would be for. So I think it's in the plans, and you see seeds being planted, but it's what would really build like a strong organic community and organic project.
Yeah, no, you guys are giving me info that I Clone Force. So that's something, that's Yob's team. He's doing some big things over there. I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's gonna be whatever it is. It's gonna be sick. I know that there's a few talented people on that team, and then there's some whales in the community that are backing it as well. So I'm sure that.
Yeah, I think the best thing is that it's like clones that got together to build a project for clones. So it's like something that sprouted from connections within the community. And I think that would be, again, that's what like CloneX LA is, again, like it's connections made within the community to create products and events and services for clones and hopefully other people also. Like we're not putting barriers up. We want everyone to be a part of it, but it's because of the inter-community connections and the projects coming out from those groups are really exciting things in the near future.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think if CloneX is listening, Artifact's listening, Benoit, if you're listening out there, the NBA Top Shot community, I'm not sure if you're still a part of it, Cam, but I am pretty much entwined. Yeah, I'm entwined in there. I've been in there for a while. I've had friends that have got a lot of utility in real life and value. And the reason I bring them up is because they initiated something just like you mentioned. So it's easier for them because they have local regions, right, where the teams are. Mm-hmm. So they assign team captains, about 2 team captains, and they gave them a budget of $15,000 per team.
Super cool.
And is ran by the captains, which are not employees of Dapper Labs. They are just excited NFT collectors. Yeah. And they run giveaways. They run in real life events. So Artifact, if you're out there, that's what we need for CloneX LA, X-Force.
That would be, that would be super useful for me as a Nets fan to be able to find like the 12 other Nets fans out there and be able to go to like these events and curate, like sponsored and built by NBA Top Shot, and connect with like the core fans who are also into Web3. Like that's what it's about. It's about connecting the community in real life and giving them some value that matters to them besides like flipping and trading. So I think I gotta check out what NBA Top Shot is doing. I still have like my Nick Claxton season 1 or something that I held on to. So I think that's awesome, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and that's why it's happening.
I should reach out to the Lakers and then have them team up with you guys. They have a Lakers captain.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. I actually I had a Top Shots account with 2 of my roommates that I was living with at the time, and we still had like the entire Cool Cats collection.
Oh, nice.
Entire thing. Yeah, we got the free LaMelo Ball for completing the set, and then we sold that for like $4,800.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to that. They just started rolling out a year later. I hope that said also. And just like Artifact, they're learning. They went through in a whole uproar of the community because they just they're like Jerome Power. They printed too much money and they're trying to take it back out of the system.
Are there any like big updates to things coming to the Top Shot ecosystem that you're excited about, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, like I said, they gave the power back to the community, which I thought was they're trying to not take responsibility, but it actually worked out well because the community is more passionate actually about, the space than they are. And they somehow, some way, I don't know how they did it. They got season tickets to the Warriors, which is a lot of money, and they're giving it out to the community. So every single game, they're going to have a winner, whoever holds a Warrior set. Some other things that they're doing a lot of this. And I see a lot of projects doing this, not only NBA Top Shot, is that they're doing they're doing a lot of locking and burning. So they're locking and burning to kind of absorb back all the liquidity that they put out there. They just printed too many NFTs too quickly and just flooded the market with not enough new people coming on. And that kind of brings us to the next question. But yeah, so I'm excited that they're doing that. So they implemented this mechanism. We don't know how it's going to play out yet, but for now, everyone's excited about it because they gamified it, where the more that you lock, let's say you're a Lakers fan, the more NFTs that you lock, the higher you move up in the rankings. And then in the top tier, the top 750, they're going to give you a prize for that. So everyone's kind of reinvigorated to collect and lock and climb up this leaderboard. So the leaderboard is what gamified it. And for some local entities like Golden State Warriors, for example, they've gamified it even further. They're like, hey, we're going to give you access to these season tickets if you climb up the leaderboard. So they add a few to the fire. So it's good and bad. I don't want to spend more, but I'm such a big Dubs fan that it's exciting for me, because it is a I do see it as the future sports card, right? And myself, who knows what's going to happen. But I do see that some of that. Yeah.
I would love to see Artifact do something in terms of like a lock mechanism or something to stake your clones, just to reward some of the people who have been there from the start and want to be there for the future.
Right.
Like maybe you stake your clone or lock it up, and one day he'll appear in a Nike retail store, or just like float around in a Nike retail store. But just, yeah, I think it's a fun way to naturally get the community to help the value of the project. And also, like you said, if you can gamify it in the right way, then it makes sense.
Yeah, even payback. I wouldn't say payback, right? So I interview a lot of companies, and there's a real company that's been around for 18 years that they launched their NFT on Solana about 8 months ago. So they do about $2 million a year net. And what they've done is they've committed 60,000 a year to people who stake their NFTs. So they just launched their second gen NFT, and it's like 6-7x right now in the bear market, because they're a real life company that committed real dollars to the community. They're like, hey, we're going to give you $50 to $100 gift cards to use. It's a sports card, physical sports card NFT company that created an NFT. So people are now staking and locking NFTs, and the founder and the management, they're like, yeah, we're standing by this. So to me, I see that all NFT companies or all brands in the future will have to compete with that, right? Like, why would I patronize you when I can get XYZ from this company who I patronize, but gives me back a little, gives me reward, right? And it's part of their budget, their marketing budget, or whatever expense they want to work it into. It's just their underlying expense.
Yeah, and if you do it right, it goes back to what Vega was saying about like reinvesting in your community, reinvesting in the ones that are there to build something or there to see it grow, and give them some resources to, like the NBA Top Shot. They're growing the fandom. They're creating tight connections between diehard fans. So give some of the leaders in the community or whoever it may be resources to just strengthen the bonds or build something that adds value back into the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I see. But how about you guys? Is there anything in Web3 that you've seen, not only Top Shot, but from anywhere else, that you would love to see, not only in CloneX, but that you're just excited about overall?
I mean, just the community driven things. I hate to like a broken record, but like Clone Force, the Korea thing was excellent. Stuff like that. I want to see it. I want to see it come from the people that aren't afraid to build when they don't think that it's going to be all about profit. Obviously we're in a bear market and people are still building and still putting things out. That's the type of stuff that I'm excited to see. Otherwise, you gotta question and be cautious of intentions. And I would rather worry about that. I would rather just have it be, hey man, these are people that I know and love, and they're doing their thing.
Yeah, I think the project that I was recently excited about was Webaverse. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but I think that they're doing a lot, and part of it is just land in an interoperable world where people can bring in, I think, VRM files or whatever avatar files and build in this world, but also just what they're doing in terms of sharing the processes and sharing their knowledge and making sure everything is open access in terms of the technology that they're working with. That's always interested me because they're really just empowering the people that participate as builders, and they're helping grow new builders. They're doing really cool stuff with virtual production also in VR, which just helps content creation. So I think it's a project that it's built by builders, and they're doing a really great job of sharing that knowledge. So whether the price goes up or down, you're going to just gain a lot of knowledge about the latest in technology trends and what's capable in terms of digital identity and building on land. You're just going to learn a lot about what's going on there from some of the people really doing cool experiments. So I would say that project was the most recent. But for me, a lot of like the Web3 stuff is technology driven. So I usually just like gravitate towards projects doing cool technology things.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, maybe because I'm not so technological, especially right now in this time. I find myself gravitating towards real Web2 companies coming on to Web3, but definitely someone said that we're in a time right now, they liken it to the time where Pong came out in terms of Web3. Like that's kind of where we're at. I'm not sure if you guys agree or not, but definitely. You agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. A lot of the games are making, a lot of the companies are making games that are like 8-bit, like exactly what you said. Yeah.
Do you think there's a Web2 company doing it right out there, or is there someone you point to when you're like, oh, they're entering this space authentically, I guess?
Yeah. I don't want to be biased, but the ones that I've interviewed, the Collectors Club with the physical card company that's 18 years, they're not here. I mean, they're here because they're passionate sports collectors, and they brought the community over. So they weren't, trying to print money or anything like that. They were trying to educate. So they had videos and blogs that, hey, here's how you convert to crypto. Here's how you crypto into NFT. And then they gave a massive value. So there are companies that are giving massive value. Those are the ones that are doing it correctly. But they're like interviewing the founders, they're all trying to figure it out, just like us. The most recent one I went to yesterday is called Evinco Wine. So it's a Napa Valley NFT. It's a winery, and they're given a lot of value. So they give like 4 wine tastings a year. They give you 2 bottles of wine, and then also they have in real life events. So just the value that I got personally from that NFT, that's physical web. They're not even a Web2 company. They're a winery, for God's sakes. But they just got featured on Forbes. They're doing pretty well. So there are Web2 companies that are coming on and leading the way now, which probably what should have happened. But art and fashion led the Renaissance in the last year that we started. It was kind of backwards, right? Which is good, right? The artists are getting their due, and they're doing really well. And now the businesses are coming in, and the utilities coming in, and the value.
It was only a matter of time as soon as I saw the dollar bills.
Yeah, and I see it as I wouldn't say necessity, but definitely something to get in front of, right? Like if this is going to be around for a while, which I think it is, then it allows them to get. I was talking about this with the owner yesterday. The value has to be. It should value both the community and the founder. It shouldn't just, you used to be just the founder, right? That's the whole thing about Web2, right? Like, oh, Instagram, they own all your stuff. You can't take anything back. And then Web3 is like, oh yeah, I own everything. Every tweet's going to be an NFT in the future. I still believe that. But the value in the businesses now is that they get more data, right? They know who the real, clients are, or the people who hold their stuff. Like we talk about Clone, like who the true believers are, and we can tell if they sold or whatnot. And then for the community or consumers, then because of our loyalty, we should get rewarded for that. So I definitely see, it's my hope that that's where consumerism is going, because that would change my allegiance for a lot of things. But also I think it's more fair and it's more equal, and it's easier for little guys to come up because they can play that game a little bit easier than big companies that might not want to. So yeah, interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm excited about it to just participate and help spread the word where I can. And that's why I was a little bit distracted. I don't have all my CloneX updates like I used to. I'm seeing all this stuff come out. I'm like, oh, DNA clone clothing coming out.
I
I'm
mean,
excited about that, and I'm like, should I be excited about that? Yeah.
even in the artifact ecosystem, there's so much happening that like for anyone that's just solely focused on it, it is a lot, and it's hard to keep up with what does what and what goes where. So I'm like solely focused on one ecosystem. I can't imagine trying to keep up with like multiple Web3 projects and every airdrop and every piece of whatever is going on at once. So I get it. Yeah.
I tried. It doesn't work. You go
It doesn't
crazy.
work, right? Yeah. That's why I picked my horse and I'm just sticking with it.
100%. There's so much more that CloneX, Artifact, and Nike will do. And what I've seen, especially with the Web2 companies, that they started small, and that's probably a question for you guys. And then they saw success, so they're trying to broaden the market and get more adopters on, because the old collection just has a high barrier to entry. And
Right.
so yeah, I guess that's the question is, does CloneX need to do something to bring in more masses? Because there's not 3D wearable files for the more entry level things like the shoes, right, and the vials and whatnot. What do you guys see happening? Like, do you want to see a more entry level? Do you think there will be for CloneX?
It's really tricky because there's like Artifact, and then there's obviously Nike, who acquired Artifact, and Nike is going to want to get into the Web3 space, and they're the obvious like entry point for this wave of people who can eventually get into the Artifact ecosystem. So I think like organically, you would like to see something put out from Nike that ties in. It doesn't have to be like an avatar, but something that slowly ties into the Artifact ecosystem, just to start to trickle in the new entrants into the Web3 space. Because for Nike, it's also tricky. You're trying to sell NFTs to people who probably don't care about NFTs or know what they are. So if you can just start to onboard people into the Nike ecosystem, create a link into the Artifact ecosystem, I think that's a good way for them to start to bring in more masses and more people who, like, there will be like sneakerheads and collectors and people from the Web2 Nike consumer base who will stumble upon what Artifact is doing and they'll love it, but it won't be for everyone that loves Nike. And I think I'd like to see something where Artifact and Nike create a tie and start to make an effort to bring into, like you said, the bigger consumer base. But yeah, that's just what I think would be possible in the new soon.
I did see at one point, there was an interview that their next plan is to release, a second batch of clones that are, below CloneX on a hierarchy. And they were talking about 100,000 of them, the 200,000 being released. So I'm not sure if that's still a plan or if it was just something that they were kicking around, a year ago. But that was, there's a YouTube interview where Ben is talking about that being the potential idea to bring in more people, because the CloneX will forever get the benefits, but you can't bring in more people if you only have 20,000 of something. All of the shoes and the wearables and everything else are going to be dependent on characters being able to wear them, or else they're just a collectible. I mean, that's what they said.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially since like they're building an ecosystem for avatars, like Vega said, wearables, shoes, for clones, and you want to bring in more people to adopt digital identity in the Artifact ecosystem. So clones can always be like the luxury car, but maybe you introduce something that's more the Honda. Maybe you introduce clone Honda. Yeah. But yeah, who knows what happens. I think clones will always be like the Genesis project and the origin. So I wouldn't be worried about new avatars being created, because you want as many people buying the wearables in the ecosystem as possible. Like if creators are making their own shoe skins and their own wearables, then you want as many people. It shouldn't just be clones buying them. It should be, you got to open it up to as many potential users who want to exist in the artifact ecosystem as possible. So all that makes perfect sense, and maybe that's where they're going.
Yeah, otherwise you do get into a Top Shot situation where there's just so much.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, and then it's just like, okay, well, what is it worth now? There's so much of it. So, man, I'm telling you, like, I miss those very beginning Top Shot days, like beginning of 2021, like January, February, where like it was anybody's guess. If you could get a pack, you just had to keep refreshing. There was no lottery queue. And
you were so pissed when the friend you were with got it and you didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Low-key salty.
Yeah. Those were great days. And then they started doing too much, and then it was lottery queue, and it was like, all right, there's.
But it was good. It was great for Web3 because it just onboarded so many people into NFTs. Like, I did not know what an NFT was, but NBA Top Shot had a great interface, great user experience for the average person to just jump into NFTs without realizing they're like NFTs. They're just like collectibles. And like Vega was saying, it's a fun time to jump into a line and get into a raffle. And that ties back into Nike onboarding people into Web3. There are already so many people buying sneakers on the sneakers app who go through that same experience. So if Nike can naturally onboard them into Web3, similar to how we were all onboarded into NBA Top Shot, then once they're in the Web3 ecosystem, you can bridge them over into Artifact's main ecosystem. So NBA Top Shot's gone through ups and downs, but it was so important for just the growth of the space as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my portfolio is still up, thankfully, knock on wood, from the time I got into now. And I think they're turning a corner, and hopefully they are, because to me, they're like the North Star. They have all the users and the money and the valuation. I think definitely Artifact can learn from, not the mistake. Yeah, learn from the mistakes. Don't do the mistakes. Learn from the mistakes that Top Shot did. I really hope that Artifact does a lot more in real life events. Like Doodles does a great job with onboarding as best as they can. In real life events, South by Southwest, and then they did new NFT NYC. Like my friend brought his kids to Doodles. My friend wouldn't. I don't think many CloneX friends would bring their kids to CloneX, not to the Brooklyn party, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so I think in terms of getting the masses, there's so much opportunity for them. Like they have the US Open, like there's sneaker conferences. There's so many things that they can do to onboard. And I think in real life, like you guys came together in LA, is so important. And having it regionally or locally, I think they can do that. And I think they can onboard the people the right way, as we see, NBA Top Shot doing. They're activating those types of in real life events now. And they've been talking for a mobile app for a year. That's how early we are. So I know we're a little bit impatient and we're like, come on, guys. But NBA Top Shot doesn't even have a mobile app, and it's been a year, and they have a war chest of billions of dollars, right? So we are quite early, even though we always kind of ring the same bell all the time. But yeah,
that's what CloneX LA is about, though. Like we're just taking it into our own hands and like building our own community right now without funding from Artifact. But again, you see communities sprouting out, like London, Tokyo. What was the one today, Vega? It was like
Thailand. Dude, Thailand is deep.
They got a squad. They're running deep. Yeah. So there are just communities forming all across the globe, and I think they'll on their own have the events, and hopefully maybe, like you said, funding will come for these really dedicated members of the community, and we can start to build our own events, and who knows what happens, but it's happening organically already.
Yeah, one thing that I know that can happen definitely for Artifact and for any NFT coming out there is just really an injection from the founders or the project itself of utility, and all the eyeballs will be, everyone will be excited about it. That's something that's interesting about NFTs, that the story can change in 2 seconds. Like you can do something super dramatic and it'll change the whole narrative right away. So I definitely have hope for, all NFT projects, definitely Artifact leading the way if they do the right thing. So that they should definitely listen to CloneX LA. They should definitely listen to the community, and like NBA Top Shot did. They really did listen. They could listen better, but they did listen. I should head up a Bay Area chapter. There's got to be a lot of clones here in Silicon Valley. Come on.
You just got to drive down. Just come on down. Fly down.
I don't know if you're in the Telegram, but we have like a greater LA area Telegram. There's like 75 people in there. Some of them are from the Bay Area. You know what I mean? It's not just like you only have to be in Los Angeles. We have, you know, people from San Diego. We have people from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Favorite people are from the Bay Area. Like Q is from out there too. And so yeah, if you're not in that, you can definitely join it. You know, get involved.
Well, I can hop over anywhere. Like NBA Top Shot, the Warriors, the channel there. There's people from all over the world. They're like, I'm from Australia, New Zealand, and they're like, we love repping the Dubs.
There's bandwagoners from all over the world. Huh?
Bandwagon, yeah. Well, yes. I was born and raised there, so I was a Run TMC fan.
I had to deal with the same thing when the Nets got the big three. Like I was born and raised in New York and grew up in New Jersey, so I dealt with some bad times as a Nets fan. But as soon as they got like KD, Kyrie, Harden, everyone's like, oh, you bandwagoner this, bandwagoner that. I'm like, I've been around. I watched the season where they went like 12-70. So I paid my dues.
Yeah. Vega, you gonna say something?
Try being from Michigan.
Oh.
With our sport team choices.
You guys had to get 1 year. Rip City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, we got to do this again. I'm happy to travel down to LA.
We got to come back next time with our avatars on.
Yeah.
We'll have our filters and we'll do it again.
For sure. Appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.